So, hi to everybody. Hi to everybody. We get a few more people on.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it might be a little lagged coming in because the original plan was that we had the Zoom meeting, the court hearing, at 2 o'clock. And then we thought it might go until about 3:30, and I can't, the last 2 weeks have been a bit of a blur. But I think the event went maybe an hour and a half or so. And so we thought that, okay, if we're done by about 4:30, then if we set this thing up for 5 o'clock, we should have plenty of time to chit chat.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen that way because
It's not 5 o'clock?
it's not 5 o'clock anymore. I don't know what time it is.
But they don't know where
what
we
day
are.
it is. We don't
They
know
don't
where
know
we are.
that we're in the eastern.
We're in Mississauga. You're right. We're in Mississauga, just outside of Toronto. I think most people live in the Ontario area. But to get, and I'm babbling on because I'm just burning
Waiting
time to getting a few more people in, because we thought we would launch at 5 o'clock, and I'd suggested we would launch at 5 o'clock. And then there was a flurry of activity. And you may recall from Judge Conway's instructions that there needed to be some edits made to the documents, and I'll revisit this in a second, but there were some edits that need to be made to the documents. So, the editors went off and made those edits and and then there was additional comments that came through, some clarifications around the consultation committee, which sparked a whole new round of conversation. But we got there. We got there, and we got everybody settled in, and we got agreement, and there was conversations we had with our lawyers, and they went off and actually met again with the judge, and all the other folks were on the Zoom meeting. They just had a quick meeting on their own. There was no need to open it back up to everybody, just clarifying a few things. And then the judge has to write her blessing, the justification for her blessing. And as you can probably tell, I am not an attorney, so the vocabulary that I use is just my layman's language, but my understanding is the lawyer goes off, or the judge goes off, and she writes her opinion, essentially. And her opinion then is signed, and it accompanies the signature of the proposed orders. And there's one order for Carriage Hills Vacation Owners Association, and there's a second order for Carriage Ridge Owners Association. But because they're like almost mirrors of each other, it's really the same argument, except change a few little people. And that's why you might see, when you look at those documents, there are the three amigos: Laurie Faber-Smith, hi Laurie, presume you're on; Bruce Fleming, hey Bruce, presume you're on; and myself. But you will see in documents that in the Carriage Ridge document, it talks about Bruce and Laurie, and in the Carriage Hills document, it refers to Karen and Laurie. And the reason for that is I don't own at Ridge, so I'm not a party to the administrator's installation, and Bruce is not an owner at Carriage Hills. So, but Laurie, lucky girl that she is, she owns it both, so she could carry on to both. So that's just the logistics of why do we have two documents. Why are they not perfectly identical when we have Bruce and Laurie and Karen and Laurie? Because one is Hills and one is Ridge. So when they talk a little bit about the dollars and so on, and the numbers and the people and so on, that's why there's a difference. So what is, how are we? Have we got enough people on?
You want
to
to take
really?
a guess how many people are here?
3.
113.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, that's a good indication, because we had more than 1,000 people log on to the court hearing today.
Yeah.
Blew the minds of the judge,
Yep.
the lawyers, everybody who was there. I was actually having a really good conversation with the lawyers afterward, like 10 minutes ago, like just before we went live, and we were saying amongst ourselves, this is really precedent setting, because it's the first time where, as Lou said, he never touched a piece of paper. Like, everything was digital. And it's the first time where, power to the people, but not from a confrontational standpoint, but just people have a problem. What's the problem we're trying to solve? It affects a lot of people, thousands of people, and despite the fact that we're all under, self-isolation, the hashtag stay home. I know you hate when I do that because like, oh, mom.
It's fine.
Okay,
I've
fine.
seen worse.
Yeah, you've seen worse. Yeah, you would. We managed to do it all from the comforts of our home using Zoom technology. The wheels of justice continue to move despite the fact that everybody's home. I would like to know how many people in that Zoom collection were wearing pajamas, bottoms, or track pants.
Yeah. Do we know how many people, like, exactly, or no?
I think at its peak, I heard the number was somewhere around 1,009.
Got it.
And
Someone was asking.
probably a couple of, I guess as they got into more of the details, it dropped down to about 910 or something. So about 100 people, lost interest and wandered away, or they went for lunch, or they just had faith that the process was moving. So huge. But what I want to do is, because y'all haven't seen this yet, because I will cry. I'm so happy. I want my son to read the judge's words that accompanied her signature on the 2 proposed orders. And I won't make you read all the names in the tables of the people who were there.
Yep.
But just start from, so this is the words from Justice Madam, or is it Madam Justice Conway? Anyway, so start here and read. And we will upload this document to the Facebook group. So.
Yeah, so my illiteracy won't be affected that much.
No,
Okay.
you'll be good.
Okay, so due to the COVID-19 crisis, I held a hearing on the above matter today by Zoom webinar. This motion hearing was held in accordance with the notice of profession issued by Chief Justice Morametz on March 15, 2020, and updates thereto, and B, the changes to commercial list operations in light of COVID-19 developed by the commercial list judges in consultation with the Commercial List Users Committee as updated. The webinar facilities were arranged by Thornton Grout Finnegan LLP.
That is the attorney. TGF is the attorney for the Carriage Hills Vacation Owners Association. They've been interacting with the board of directors there, and the Carriage Ridge Owners Association, again, interacting with the board of directors there. So TGF, that law firm, were the authors of the application record, and they were the ones who were putting forward the motion to have BDO assigned as administrator. Just so you know, TGF.
Okay, so so arranged by TGF to facilitate the hearing as per the foregoing COVID-19 practice directions. As there were over 1,000 members who wanted to observe the
unprecedented 1,000 members.
The hearing council determined, and I agreed, that a webinar would be the best means to make the hearing accessible to all individuals.
Which, I'm just going to pause you there because, again, under normal circumstances, this hearing would have taken place inside a brick and mortar building, inside a courtroom. Who knows how many they could squish into the room. The fact that it wasn't taking place there, it was taking place in a virtual room that really, depending on the technology, has almost an endless opportunity for participation. It really was groundbreaking in terms of opening a door and allowing the public, and truly not just those limited to how many can fit in the pews, but truly open to the world through a public Zoom webinar.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, this email constitutes my endorsement of today's date and is to be placed in the court file. The following lists the council and stakeholders who entered a notice of appearance and who made submissions at the hearing, the list of people.
Yep, in those little boxes, who all those people were. And again, this document will be uploaded so you'll see the full list.
Okay. This is an application by Carriage Hills Vacation Owners Association and Carriage Ridge Owners Associations, the applicants, for an administrator to be appointed over their assets and the lands on which the resorts are operated. The application is brought under Section 101 of the Courts of Justice Act 1990, Section 43, as amended by CGA. The application is brought under the CGA rather than the provisions of the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act 1985, Section 36, as amended by the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act.
So just basically those are the regulations that they are using as the reference point under which it's the foundation for which she's making the decision. Not that it's gone bankrupt, it's just that's the name of the law that all of this activity is taking place.
Yep. So as those acts as amended,
Yep.
as the applicants likely do not meet the insolvency tests in those statutes at this time, the application is now unopposed, and the proposed order reflects terms that have been worked out between those whose names are set out on the above list.
Which is not an inconsequent thing. We had people come to the table fairly late because they didn't know this was going on, and they had an opportunity to speak, and people had different perspectives and different needs and different expectations. And the fact that everybody came together at the end of the day and said, yes, we all agree. So that's what it means by it came together unopposed. We had some, I won't say opposition, but we had some interest to make some changes to things, and there was some negotiation and conversation back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and a flurry of activity. And well, what about this? Well, can't really live with that. Okay, well, how about this? Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. And then it was like, okay, do we all agree? Yes. Okay, so then we can take it to Judge Conway and say, we all agree. And so she's acknowledging that it was a very collaborative approach, and that she is being handed a document that represents consensus, unopposed.
Got it.
Okay, and I don't know what all the legal words are. There's lawyers that can help there. Okay, keep going.
Keep going. Okay. The record establishes that the current situation for the resorts is unattainable.
Unattainable. Yeah.
That's a spelling mistake then. Untenable.
Oh, untenable. Yeah, that's an
Okay.
English word. Untenable. Yeah.
So it establishes that
It's
the
just
current
not workable.
situation.
It's untenable means it just can't happen. Anyway, carry on.
So yeah, it
I'm tired. It's
establishes.
been 2 weeks. Very long.
It establishes that the current situation for the resorts is untenable.
Untenable. Yep.
The rise in annual dues for the members over the past years have caused many of the members to cease paying their dues. This, in turn, has required the remaining members to bear even higher dues to cover the resort's operating costs, thereby creating the risk for further defaults. The perpetual contract arrangements with the members exacerbate and perpetuate this cycle.
Yeah.
Something must be done.
Makes everything worse. The fact that maintenance fees keep going up, people stop paying, which means everybody else, their maintenance fees go up even higher, which means people stop paying, which means the rest of the people, the fees start going up, and that's what the exacerbation is. It just gets worse and worse and worse.
Okay. The appointment of an administrator will assist in exploring exit options for those who do not wish to continue with the resorts, regardless of a restructuring, and in exploring restructuring options, if feasible, for those who wish to remain, all in consultation with the members and under the supervision of this court. The draft order builds in procedures to update contact lists for the large group of members over 13,000, to ascertain the interest of members in exiting or continuing with the resorts, to obtain member input on various options through a consultative committee,
Yep.
And to make and implement decisions for the applicants going forward in transparent and an accountable manner.
Yes. That's
All subject to court supervision and approval.
right. It's a mouthful. I'm so happy. So happy. I'm so happy because the judge heard us. We wanted transparency. We wanted accountability. We had a problem that we needed to fix, which was this vicious cycle of fees that kept going up and people defaulting, and fees kept going up, and that there's no secondary market, all that stuff. But she recognized that we needed transparency, we needed accountability, and she's laid out exactly, if you go to my thoughts update number 2, a stepwise process. And when you look through the proposed order, you will see that step number 1 was get BDO on board as an administrator, as an officer of the court. So that's what she means by she, through BDO as her officer, is going to be overseeing all that will happen. So any significant milestones or gateways you have to go back to court and, Mother, may I, this is what we'd like to do now. Do you agree? And she will say yes, no, or yes with these provisions, or no because of that. And then you go and you do what you're going to do. And then when you get to another milestone, you go back and you say, Mother, may I, we got to this stage. Is it okay? And can we keep doing it? Yes, yes. And under these certain circumstances, and then you go back and, Mother, may I. So it's this, you have to, the judge oversees all. And I'm really happy with that, because we don't have to worry about, is somebody pro-exit or pro-stay, or, this board or that board, or Wyndham or not Wyndham. Like, it's the judge, and I got the sense that she is very pro-citizen. Mm-hmm. She worked incredibly hard to make it known to all lawyers that this is a public forum, that the owners need, and the public, but certainly the owners need to have a voice through all this. And the fact that she has described what the problem is gives me great faith that she will be able to help us find the solution. She has represented that that she understands that there's a group of people that want out and want out right away. There's a group of people that like the timeshare and want to stay, and there are people that they don't know, because it all depends on certain circumstances of whether I stay or whether I go. And so this is why that stepwise process that she's laid out there, where number one, you put BDO in as administrator and as her representative, as an officer of the court. Step two is the need to find the people, find the owners. There's 13,000 owners. We need to find them. We need to be able to reach out to them. I think one of the reasons why there's been so much angst is because there's a lot of people who don't know what's going on, because there's an incomplete members list. There's no transparency, there's no communication. So the next one is the members list. The next one then is to find out, now that you know who everybody is and where they are, to the best of your ability, because we put the right kind of language in there. We don't expect miracles, but put a really concerted effort, and BDO's got the right resources to do it. And I'll talk about money shortly. That they'll put their power, their resources behind it. So poor Sarah Lambert, God love her, the woman who works in the office at Carriage Hills check-in desk, Carriage Ridge check-in desk, she's the one that receives all these. I didn't get my email, and oh my God, the poor girl is just overworked, because everybody trying to update the members list has been, contacting her. So the members list is important, and then from the members list they will reach out to everybody to find out, do you want to stay? Do you want to go? Do you want to go later? And the wording that was introduced, people might have been a little confused, because somebody wanted to put in that preliminary interest in exit. And that's because it's recognized that, I might want to go, but if I might want to stay, but if the terms and conditions are too burdensome for me to stay, I might want to go. So it's the uncertain category. And
that was the three groups they're talking about the
whole
time.
Exactly. So absolutely, they have the three groups. So after the members, so BDO members list, poll the audience, and then develop some kind of exit option. Like, what does that look like? Do we have to pay? Do we not have to pay? Do you have to have, your fees? What about the defaulting owners? Do they get out? Do they have to pay up before they get out? There's going to be tons of questions that are going to be factoring in for who qualifies to get out. Do you have to be, financially destitute to get out? Or can you just get out because you don't want to be there anymore? Lots and lots of questions. And she mentions, last thing in there, or at least last thing I remember in there, is all of this under her direction, the officer of the court, but in consultation with, I'm so excited about this, and actually Lou and Varjan, the lawyers that we worked with, came up with this idea. Brilliant, love these guys. They came up with the idea of why don't we do a consultative committee? And we sort of threw out some ideas that, okay, you'd need somebody from the Carriage Hills board, and you'd need somebody from the Carriage Ridge board, and there's some, they asked us who do you think should be on this consultative committee, and we know that, for example, Christiane has been, pretty involved, and he's got an interest in staying in the resort, from what I understand, and he was one of the members, so okay, he should be on because he wants to stay. We need somebody on the consultative committee who wants to go. so we can have voices. And we bantered around a lot about who should be on that committee, and we didn't want to make the committee unwieldy, and we all boiled down and said, you know what, Michael Deegan. Way to go, Mike. So Michael Deegan, so it's going to be member of the Carriage Hills board, member of the Carriage Ridge board, Michael Deegan, because he's got lots of experience. He was well known from the AGM of last year. He owns both at Carriage Hills and at Carriage Ridge, and he's an advocate to exit, and I think he's going to do a good job at providing a respectful voice for those who want to get the heck out. And then Christiane, because he has an interest in staying. And then there's a fifth place that there'll be some discussion about who might fill that chair, because we don't know yet, and we wanted the committee to, have some discussion around it. And then there is a sixth spot if Wyndham so chooses to have a seat at the consultative committee. We have a chair for them, but they can choose if they want to or not want to. It's up to them. But I think it was a really fantastic idea. I think we've been very fair in not stacking the deck in one direction or another, but it truly is. And they will be the group of I'll call it the think tank, that BDO as the administrator on the outside will connect with that group for two reasons. That group will be helpful in getting input from the stakeholders at large, so gathering information to give to BDO, and also as there's some discussions and updates that they will be available to disseminate information to the crowd. So it'll come out through different channels, and that comes back to the transparency piece. So I'm really happy, because we wanted to make sure that we did not, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Relying on the two boards of directors to be the sole parties disseminating what's going on because they're talking behind the curtain. Forget it. We've done it. I'm not going to let anger run through me right now. The past is behind us. As Lou said in his opening comments, this is a new, I think the phrase I gave him was new dawn, right? He called it a refresh. Refresh, we're going to try and do this the right way now. We've got the right parties. We've got some fresh blood. We're not going to go back and say, well, they should have started, they said they were going to give us a strategy last September, and what have they been doing since then? I beg you. I don't want to see Facebook comments criticizing and pointing fingers and blaming, and it is water under the bridge. I really want to endorse this in a positive fashion and just accelerate it to the best of our ability. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah,
I'm famous. You know me as the woman who blathers, but carry on.
No, just making sure I'm up to date on. So
Comments?
just so to reiterate,
Yes.
a decision about what is happening has not been made in terms of what is happening to the property.
Correct.
The decision that's been made is we have the group together to figure out what to do with the property.
Correct.
And there's three groups. There's the people who want to leave, like three general groups that we're all trying to satisfy, is the people who want to leave,
Yes.
the people who don't want to leave or don't know yet.
Yeah. So I call them the stay,
Yeah.
the go, and the maybe go later.
Right. And then even determining smaller groups. I know one was popped up, if some people want to sell part, if they have 5 units,
Oh, and they want to sell a couple?
they want to sell a couple. Just,
That's a good question. Don't know. And again, what I would suggest, well, there's two ways that people's ideas and questions and explorations can be not forgotten about as time progresses.
Right.
Number one is the consultative committee, and trust me, this is like the ink isn't even dry on this yet, but the consultative committee will figure out how to collect questions and advice, and they'll figure out their protocols for managing the flow of information and what gets tabled and what doesn't. The second place that at least I saw from the announcements that came out from the boards was that by bringing BDO on board, I got the impression that and I think it was in the press releases, that if you have questions, that you could pose them to BDO. So the administrator will welcome, questions or ideas or comments or what have you. So I hope, and the third place is, I still think there's value in the Facebook group of throwing around some ideas. We were there today representing 1,732 was the last number I heard that of people that said, yes, your thoughts update number 2. I agree, and I'm with you, and I want out. And so all of these people who have ideas about about hopefully not too far in the distant future will have two places to put those ideas and concerns down.
Yeah.
So the question's valid. I would say we'd pose it to the consultative committee, we'd pose it to BDO, and we'd maybe find out how many of those are through the Facebook group.
Got it. Awesome.
Okay.
Continue.
Continue reading.
Continue. I'm just going to take one last check.
Yeah. Isn't this fun? This is my son.
Hello. Okay.
I finagled him in because I didn't want to do this all by myself.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on.
Yep.
Having regard to all of the circumstances of the case, I am satisfied that it is just and convenient to appoint an administrator for the applicants. Some reference to an order.
Yep. Justification according to
Yeah.
this rule, this precedence, this precedence, this precedence. Yeah.
Okay. Among other things, the applicants have established that they will suffer irreparable harm
Yeah.
in the
I
further
stapled the pages together, so it made it difficult for you.
in the further deterioration of their financial position.
Yeah.
If the order is not granted,
Yeah.
the order will permit that applicants to remain in possession of their assets and manage their affairs, subject as provided in the order. No stakeholder will be prejudiced. The order will enable the court to address any ongoing issues raised by any stakeholder, and the balance of convenience favors granting the order. I am also satisfied that a stay should be granted, as it will provide a period of stability during which the various exit and restructuring options can be pursued. The administration charge is necessary and just, given the complexity of the exit and restructuring efforts and the required involvement of the professional advisors in designing and implementing plans for the applicants. I note that the charge is only on the assets of the applicants and does not extend to the lands or the members' interests therein. The service and notice provisions in the order are a reasonable way to keep the extremely large group of stakeholders informed about developments in this proceeding. Orders to go as signed by me and attached to this endorsement. The orders are effective from today's date and are enforceable without the need for entry and filing.
Okay. Awesome.
Signed, Court of Justice.
So we have she's heard the problem. She understands the problem. She has endorsed a plan that allows for transparent communication of information and the exchange of ideas and the evolution of developing a pathway to getting where we want to go. But as I said, this is step one. BDO is in as administrator. So, I don't know, can they see this box down here?
Yes,
Maybe
they can, actually.
They can. Yes, they can. So a whole box of stuff down here. I have papers here. I have paper. I have my little notes here. I have digital files. I have, and actually they're probably still warm off my printer. These are the two proposed orders signed by her. So it has all the edits and stuff. Mm-hmm. I can tell you. Do you remember, not you personally, because you've been just watching me go crazy at my kitchen table for the last 2 weeks. See this? This, my friends, it was the original one of two, because there's one for Carriage Hills, one for Carriage Ridge, application record. This is available on that BDO website, and we uploaded the extranet address, and we'll make sure that y'all have that. And in there's a little line for Carriage Hills, and there's pre-filing report, an application record, and something else I can't remember. And then Carriage Ridge, same thing. So this, my friends, was the original application record that they sprung on us, surprise, on April 30th. And I jumped in and I started reading it, and you can see I got lots of stickies and stuff. In here was the Board of Directors President's affidavit saying how they thought the facility, like what they thought the problem was, and supporting documentation. and the timeshare agreement is in here, and there was the proposed order. And that proposed order had provisions in there that scared the bejesus out of me, a highly legal term, we immediately, so I contacted a few folks and said, have you read this? Did you see this? We can't do that. Like, oh my God. And one of those was that Section 33 provision that said, if the judge signed it, she would take away a bunch of things that would otherwise be legally required to do, and according to our bylaws and timesharing agreement. So her pen gets to sort of erase the conditions that might be laid out in the timeshare agreement and bylaws. She overrides that. Such power. And if she had signed it and that document had gone through as it was written, Section 33 said that the board no longer needed to run an AGM, that they no longer needed to hold board elections, that whoever was in as the board now would stay until the board decides that they can have an election. And that owners would no longer have the right to call for a special meeting. The voting rights would be eliminated, which sort of threw me off a bit because there was a FAQ that said, will I still be able to vote in things? And it was sort of like, well, generally, yes, but these are some things that would be taken away. It was kind of vague. I wasn't really happy, but I thought, I understand the concept of, in the middle of this flowing process that's being overseen by the judge and her officer of the court, they don't want to have an election and like you're halfway through something and then a new board comes in and they go, nah, we don't want to do that. Yeah. And they, you get a whole brand new changing of the guard and they, re-wallpaper the house. Like it just, they wanted to maintain stability. I think everybody is in support of this. I can't imagine a new board being brought on board and saying, we don't want BDO anymore. And they go to court and they have the whole BDO thing removed. I can't see that. So I didn't like it. And I thought, what else is in here that's kind of, that I'm not understanding? And so that's when we decided we were going to retain an attorney. And I've already gone through and described in post about all the stuff that happened over that course. But I just want to, for the record, verbally, because I put it in writing, I want to just correct a few things. That in the early stages of negotiation, i.e. like the Monday after they released this document and had some scary stuff in there, and the lawyer recognized that we were just a little homegrown group of people, that we had written out in the letter the things that we were concerned about and the things that we wanted to see, and I'm pretty sure in there was talk about the membership list and the need to poll people, and the lawyers had put in there that because he didn't want to see, Laurie, Bruce, and I stuck with the bill, he had put in the letter that it was suggested that the ownership, the association would pay the legal fees of our lawyer. And I wasn't sure, to be honest, whether it was we were asking the association to pay for our legal fees, or were that, that $500,000 plus expenses and disbursements budget that was being given to BDO, could we carve out a piece of that and have that pay for our lawyers? And that was sort of the original thought process behind it. Okay, here's the deal. My phone died. I've been on my phone all day, feeding various posts while I was watching the Zoom meeting. I was answering questions on the side that people were posting on the Facebook group. I'm pooped. My son is busily doing whatever he's doing to get everything back up online. We may have lost the recording of the first bit of this, but you know what? Such is life. And I don't know, we'll have to find out, Matt, if any of the questions and comments got lost. Or
No, I can keep those. Oh, okay. Wait, actually. I think we kept it.
I'm on. Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
That's still working. Yep. So Jeffrey is in the background too, way in the back, checking to make sure that he's seeing what you all are seeing, because he's watching the Facebook feed. What?
Told everybody to pour a drink.
Oh, he told everybody to pour a drink. Where is mine?
Reconnecting pour a beverage, he says.
Oh gosh. Okay, so.
Okay, so the video is saved from the first time, which is good.
Okay, good. So we'll string it together and video. Okay, oh, that's so good because I don't want to go through it all over again. Because did you finish reading her statement? You did, right? We scrambled because we lost power. And no, it was not Wyndham blocking the feed, Bruce. cheeky bum. So, when we last left off, we had, yes, so, actually no, when did I last leave off?
Alright.
Yep, I did.
Speak a little louder.
Louder? Okay. Can we bring it a little closer or no? We'll leave it there. What's the view look like? Would it help to bring it closer? Like, do we have some?
Yeah.
You have a little bit of room.
Yeah, you move it, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay, don't make people sick. And we'll keep going, because yeah, maybe then we have to yell. We'll be in. We're good? Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So where did we leave off?
I was only on page 1 of this document. Due to the COVID-19.
Oh, you kill me. You kill me. Oh, okay. So the application record. So yes. So we last left off where we hired the lawyers. They started to review this document. They put a letter together to the author of the document to say, you know, we've been retained by a couple of owners that have some concerns, and here's what we think needs to be done in order to address those concerns. And he listed out, I think, things like needing a members list and communication being so important. And the lawyers knew that we were so poor as 3 little owners that he threw in there a statement about asking for his fees to be paid for by the association. And I thought it was like out of the $500,000 from the BDO budget, which I want to tell you, $500,000 in the original proposal. It said, and we're on, right?
We're on.
The original proposal said for Carriage Hills $350,000 plus fees and disbursements.
Mm-hmm.
And for Carriage Ridge it was $150,000 plus fees and disbursements. And I can tell you, because I was a consultant for 25 years, that when we were typically budgeting things for POs and things, we would say disbursements, ballpark 15%, 15-20%. If people wanted to know, well, what do you think the fees and disbursements are going to be? And that's just, rough estimate. God love the lawyer. So when they were originally saying, well, maybe the fees can be covered off by that $500,000 plus fees and disbursements, people read the letter and understandably got really concerned because they thought they were paying for lawyers twice, right? Paying for the board of directors lawyer and then paying for our lawyers.
Speak up.
It's certainly not acceptable. So we were able to switch gears because we had lots of people say, that's okay, set up a GoFundMe account and we will cover the fees. And so that's what happened. We set up a first GoFundMe account. It did really, really well. There were lots of people that said they were interested in helping. We even had comments that, hey, I'm working from home, and because of that, I'm not paying childcare. I don't have a transit pass anymore. My 407 bill's gone down, so I've got a little bit of money I can help out here. And by the way, we know that there's a lot of people that are, really economically challenged right now. And so I'm going to chuck in a couple of extra bucks to cover off those people who, need to be included in this but can't afford it. The overwhelming generosity from people was just it made my heart warm. So we continued to work with the lawyer to go through, comb through the whole process, and there were a number of things that really concerned us. And again, number one was this transparency piece. So, for example, we wanted to put "and members" everywhere that it said the applicant. So if the administrator was going to be sharing information with the applicant. We wanted it to say and members, so that we could get information like beyond just through the board of directors, and that's because that's where I think some things have kind of been constipated. So so we had put in this members thing, and then the lawyer said, well, what about a consultative committee? We can come up with some people, and I won't rehash it because it's part of the first part of the video.
They're still saying the volume's low, so.
Oh, damn.
You gotta yell it.
I
You
gotta
gotta
yell it?
just
Let it rip.
give it.
Okay.
Just
Can move it a little closer.
Can we go a little closer? Okay.
you gotta
bring
tuck
some-
in though.
Okay, why don't we
No,
do
I
that?
think you're good. You can move
This
it
is
in
so
a little
sad.
closer.
So I was so excited to be doing this. Because
I think you can move it another, yeah.
yeah, better? I don't know why they can't hear me either, too.
You just gotta belt it. Own it.
Okay. I love this guy. Okay, so, but you were able to hear me, right? It's soft. You keep interrupting me, and now I keep losing my train of thought. So
Funding.
we had so we got the GoFundMe set up. The law firm's fees were covered by the GoFundMe account, and that was super exciting. So as we worked through the document, there were the proposed order. We had quite a number of concerns, and one of them was that the proposed order seemed to be weighted very heavily on restructuring. There was virtually nothing in there that talked about an exit strategy, that everything was like how to prop up, how to market, redevelop, renovate the property. And we're like, no, there's a whole bunch of people that want to exit. Why would we want the focus of BDO's activities to try and figure out how to prop up a property that a whole bunch of people don't want to be part of anymore? So that was one of the big concerns that we wanted to. Why are you smiling?
Because I got called cute.
Oh!
Yeah, that was me.
No, it was Glenda.
Oh, Glenda thinks you're cute. Oh, Glenda's really nice. She's been working really hard with this too. That's so. He is cute. I thought I was biased.
All right.
I could.
Back.
We could.
Move on.
You could. Are
Moving
you
on,
gonna swipe
moving on.
left or
No.
swipe right?
Oh,
Or?
move on. Move
Okay.
on.
I'm sorry, people. I'm really sorry I'm getting punch drunk. It's a Friday night. So, we wanted to make sure that exit, the whole concept of getting an exit strategy put into this friggin' document was critical. So we started playing a little harder because we didn't want this just to be cited for getting the BDO to figure out a solution for propping up the place, because I think it's beyond propping up, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm not on the consultative committee by choice. I will advise, I'll help Michael, you got my support, buddy, but and Chris, absolutely, because again, we think that we didn't want a proposed order that was 100% pro-exit, and we didn't want a proposed order that was 100% pro-stay and like save the property. We wanted to have a healthy, respectful, fair, transparent, balanced conversation about how can we do what we need to do to help both sides. Because if it turns out that a whole bunch of people want to leave, we don't want to shaft the people who want to stay with a great big huge bill, but we also don't want to shaft the people who want to exit by having them pay a whole bunch of money and then they leave and they've paid for the beautification of a process that they're not taking advantage of. So I think we did a really good job. If you were to compare, and if you got a lot of free time on your hands, please consider, maybe we'll even do this, but I'll think about it. Look at the before version. Look at the April 30th version of the proposed order. And then look at today's version of the proposed order that the judge signed. And I want you to compare those two. And I think the big things that you will see are the following. We now have the need for BDO to get a bloody members list that has everybody in it. You can see him getting excited about it now. He told me to speak up. Own it. So we want a members list so that nobody comes in at the last minute saying, I didn't know anything. We want a poll to find out. not an obsolescence poll. I don't like that word. I sort of use pseudo obsolescence, because the problem with obsolescence as it was before was, if the obsolescence vote turned out to be yes, everybody had to get out, including the people that wanted to stay. If on the obsolescence vote it was voted no, everybody had to stay. Sucked. Like, it's not good. So instead of having this obsolescence vote, you will see obsolescence is not a word in the proposed order, because we don't want it just to be a all for one in or all for one out. We will have a poll, and it'll be developed after we get the members list, so stepwise, people, that we'll get this poll that figures out how many people are the in, how many people are the out, how many people I don't know, and then from that we'll come up with a strategy.
All right, pause it for a second.
Thank you.
So where do I find the latest version signed by the judge?
We will upload it, because I could put it in front of you. I could say right here. Okay, but what we will do is we'll upload it to the Facebook files. It will, I'm sure, also be on the BDO extranet site.
The Carriage Hills.
What about the Carriage Hills, Carriage Ridge?
Ridge Owners
The
website.
website? Yeah, I would suspect that if you have a username and password and you go into the the Owners Association controlled website, which I think is carriagehillsoa.ca for Carriage Hills, and I think it's carriageridge.ca, but I could have those wrong. We'll post it on the Facebook site, and we'll get you those documents. But they're available. They'll be available on the Facebook site. They'll be available on the BDO site. I'm sure they'll be available on the Owners Association controlled website. We also have CHCR Owners.org, which is the website that is the matching. It's run by us friends here as well, and I'm sure we'll upload it there as well. So it'll be all over the place. So yeah, please compare the two, because you will see how much work we've done over the last 2 weeks to get the members list, the poll, the exit option. They've called it an exit option. Yeah, the whole owner's ears. We had come up with owner's ears, which is the exit and restructuring strategy. So I hear you. There's a bit of marketing in there, but they didn't like that, so that's okay. They just had it as an exit option. And then the other thing I want to point out to you, drum roll please, is our lawyers got BDO to agree that of the $500,000 plus expenses and disbursements, they agreed it would be $500,000 including expenses and disbursements. So, thank you so much, Blaney McMurtry, because that's probably about, I'm guessing, $75,000 savings right there. A hell of a lot more than his fees ever were. By the, can you include expenses rather than plus expenses? So, pat him on the back. We're sending him a bottle of something. Because I'm, he's very cost conscious. As you heard in his opening remarks today, he acknowledged that it was a grassroots group of volunteers working on social media to try and gather people with a common interest, to try and have their voices heard as part of the Wheels of Justice, and we're funding it through a GoFundMe page. This I think is pretty groundbreaking, and I know that they're very interested in looking at this from a case study standpoint. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so yeah, compare the two, and then I want to thank Chris because he has been an absolute delight. A few of us have spoken with him to just get a sense of where he's coming from. We're not that far apart. We're not apart. He likes the resort. He wants to stay. He has a young family. Good on him. I don't think anything we're doing is trampling on his interest to stay, and at the same time, his interest to stay are not trampling on our interest to leave. So I think there's been some negative energy put towards trying to polarize the conversation. It's really not, and I'll tell you that the lawyers that we hired spoke with Chris on numerous occasions as we were trying to, come up with a final version that we could all agree to, and the conversations were very cooperative, collegial, productive, and so thanks. I really do appreciate that everybody's able to work together for a common good. What are your questions?
I'm just answering technical difficulties right now.
Oh, okay.
Just the volume is still an issue, but we're trying to make sure your computer volume is up and make sure your Facebook video volume is up as well.
Oh, okay.
We lost the phone earlier because it died, and the port to put in a microphone and the port to charge it is the same. So if we want to have the video, we can't have microphones anymore. So
we have to speak up.
we gotta yell, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Do our best.
I don't know what else I want to say. I'm tired. It has been 2 weeks. I've been posting on Facebook to try and support transparency in what I've been thinking, to try and dispel some myths, some fears, some misunderstandings, some anger. I think this whole situation has taxed a lot of people. And I think when you tax people either financially, people are really struggling right now, and then they think, and I need to pay for this friggin' timeshare? So I get it. I really get it, and my heart goes out to people. If things have been said by anybody that was not meant or was meant, but it was in the moment, I'm sorry. I hope that we can bygones be bygones, and that there's no bad blood. My wish is that right now we have 3 Facebook groups, which is a royal pain in the patootie to manage. Chris has his group, which I think is sort of it's a spin-off because of some frustrations, and I feel bad for that. And yes, interestingly enough, if you look at the proposed order and you look at the makeup of the consultative committee, it has Michael Deegan representing the exit-only people, and Chris Deanna representing the people who want to stay. And I would really hope that those don't become black and white, or red and green, or A and Z, like whatever, salt and pepper. That we can. I mean, I don't know if we'll have to have 2 separate Facebook groups. I would really hope that we don't have to polarize and say, your camp, my camp, us, them. I don't like that dichotomy. I don't like that polarization. I know there's a lot of people that are in both Facebook groups because all they want is the information. And they just want to know what their options are, and they don't want us to fight. They just want us to come together and share information. And I think, for Pete's sakes, if in the Zoom meeting today and in the meetings leading up to this, if our lawyers and Chris as a lawyer representing himself can get along and get some good consensus to having a respectful conversation had, and a polling done to see how many are this and how many are that. As long as, if you're in this camp and you want to leave, don't be throwing rocks at the people who want to stay. And if you're in the camp that wants to stay, don't be throwing rocks at the people who want to go. And if you don't know, that's okay. Don't be throwing rocks in either direction. And if you're in either direction, don't be throwing rocks to the middle. Everybody friggin' get along. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, you
grounded,
said...
grounding.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes. Anyway, I want 1 Facebook group.
Yes.
I would like that. So
Yes.
that's my goal. Sorry, carry on.
If you had your Christmas wish.
Yes. Don't wait till Christmas.
Okay.
Mother's Day? Can it be late Mother's Day gift?
Yeah.
One
I can
good.
do that for you.
Canada Day.
What? Canada Day.
Canada Day.
May 2-4.
Yeah.
May
That's
2-4.
next weekend.
I'm gonna think
Is that
about
this weekend?
marketing.
That's this weekend.
Monday.
Yeah, marketing. Two for one.
Oh,
2
okay.
for. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So,
Help me. Take me out of here.
what general question is?
Yes.
So what's the next week look like? What's the next month look like? What does the next year look like? What is it like?
The next 24 hours, I'm getting insanely intoxicated. Okay, maybe not. I've had the occasional tequila shot while writing some of these Facebook posts. But, and I suspect that in the next week or month I won't be getting my hair colored, so thank you for...
Okay, more of the group.
Oh, the group. Yes, the group. Okay,
the
so...
matter at hand.
Well, after this giant exhale from all this flurry of activity, we have signed, they're not proposed anymore. They are signed orders. So number one, here's the action, people's homework for the next week. Please read the orders and post your questions here if you'd like. Okay? We're happy to support that. So read the orders. I'm going to read the orders because there's been so many iterations of the thing. I mean, a whole bunch of my files are track changes version. I want to read it to say, so where did we end up? So that's what I'm doing for the next week. I think in the next week, BDO is going to open up their website, and this is all guesses on my part, but there is an expectation. BDO will open up that extranet website and invite people to join their mailing list. They'll have a place where you put, because it was mentioned by the council today. So BDO, they'll start right away at preparing that members list. So go to the BDO website and make sure you log in your contact details. Name, address, and whatever questions they want. Make sure you get an email address. It's cheaper for everybody to enable email communication. So how long is it going to take them to do step one, which is come up with the members list? I don't know. A month?
Yeah.
6 weeks? 2 weeks? I don't know. I don't know, but that's the first step, members list. And then when they get the members list, I would suggest that in the next, I would hope in the next 2 weeks that we get this consultative committee thing sorted out and get some kind of meeting in place, because the consultative committee will be an important place where the questions that will be subject to step 2, which is, are you in the stay group, are you in the go group, or are you in the don't know, need more information group? Well, obviously we need some sophistication around those questions, and I would suggest that the consultative committee will help fashion that series of questions to know what that poll will look like. That effort's probably going to take months.
The BDO website to input your information?
Yes.
Already live.
Oh!
It's already on the BDO website. There's some people have already gone into the BDO site and provided me information.
Okay.
Some people couldn't get to sign in, but it exists, so maybe some technical difficulties, but it does exist.
Okay. Fantastic.
Too many people
What?
jumping in.
Too many people? I don't know. Crash the site. Have a shot of tequila and then go try again. So anyway, so the timelines for all of this. Man, oh man. I don't know, because if you can imagine, each time, as I said earlier, that they approach a milestone. For example, we've got our members list now. Mother, may I please start a poll? That means going to court. And then she has to say, yes, what does your poll look like? Well, this is what we want to ask. Do you agree? Yes. Like all these iterations back, and like, I don't know, months and months to go through that process. So do I think we're going to be, do I think before August, or no, let's say, do I think before October there's going to be an exit strategy that people check the box and pack their bags? I doubt it. I really doubt it. Unless there is some financial influence that things are worse than really are, and there's some other path that we go because we run out of money. That's this whole process of getting a members list, getting an exit poll, getting an exit strategy. Do you pay? Do you not pay? Do you have to? Because there's like Ovations. There's that program. There's a model there. Do we use that model? I don't know. Do you got to, just what does it look like? I've got my dreams of like my suggestion being that if there's, once you take the people out that want to leave immediately, and how many people are left, if there's enough people, I don't think there's going to be enough people to populate both facilities, that my fantasy idea is that you sell Carriage Hills, to a residential condo developer who turns it into, do you want to work near Barrie? And it's a beautiful place.
It is nice.
It is, if the price is right. And we were talking about, where are you going to live when all this is over.
I'm okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Like the PTSD from the area.
The PTSD. I'm sorry, I've ruined you.
Yeah.
Because it is a beautiful part of the country. No, there's no question. So if they turn it into nice residential condos, like maybe, right? Maybe a nice little hotel, and you share the fitness room and the pool and like little games room, and isn't that nice? It'll be a lovely little community. I don't know if it's for seniors because there's a lot of stairs. But they sell it for resident. It's a nice block for residential condos and maybe a hotel. And then if given the number of timeshare owners that remain, that want to keep their timeshare, they love the facility, they want to keep going, and the Veta Spa that's across the street from Carriage Ridge might drill, and they can get rid of the in perpetuity clause so that it makes the timeshare model a little bit more attractive to people to buy it. Like I get it. Like maybe the whole timeshare property gets concentrated and compressed down to Carriage Ridge, which is right across the street from Veta Spa. It's self-contained. It's got its own pool. It's got its own fitness center. It's got its own games room.
On the hill.
So yeah, skiing. It's closer to get there, I think, from Carriage Ridge than Carriage Hills. And Carriage Hills is much bigger. So sell it off. I don't know. The people who stay get to split whatever profits are left. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, so don't quote me on any of this. I was gonna say don't write this down, but this is all being recorded.
Yeah.
So, but I don't care. It's all my own personal opinion. So then, the people who just want to get the hell out, get out, and the people who want to stick it out can stay. And because it's set up as sort of a A and B property, maybe they can sell A for a bunch of money that can help pay to fix up B and turn it into a lovely experience. And if the in perpetuity clause is gone, then it might have value. And so I suspect that's what Chris wants to do. So anyway, those are my ideas. But that sort of thing is like years. Right? Especially in this economy. Who's going to buy that big chunk of property anytime soon? I don't know. Unless it was for sale for $1. I know we have a bunch of real estate agents who are members of the Facebook group and owners. Like, I don't know, maybe they can find somebody to buy it. But that's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen this year. I highly doubt it. We need to go through all the steps, and that's going to take months, if not a year. So do I think you're going to have to pay your 2020 maintenance fees? I think you're going to get a bill. Oh, 2021, sorry. But like the bill coming in November 2020, do I think you're going to get a bill? I think you will. And then the question is going to be, well, do I think you're going to have to pay that bill? Something for the consultative committee, because I suspect that those who have to pay a bill in 2020 for usage in 2021, if we think we're going to get out in 2021, I think there's going to be some pushback of people who say, I'm not paying for next year's fees if I'm going to be out before next year. I think that's going to be a conversation that's going to be awkward, but at least it's a conversation that's going to be held in a transparent fashion. So, any other questions?
Nope. Nothing really. If you have any questions, we'll hang out for like another couple minutes. Just to
30 seconds.
Another 30 seconds.
I have a... Oh.
Okay, you have this long. You have this long to ask a question.
Port. This is a lovely port. I was drinking tequila a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I think there is... Jeffrey, are people online with either a mocktail, cocktail,
There's a lot
glass of wine?
Stuff going around that
wine.
potentially.
Yes.
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 So
okay, then anybody...
Cheers to
Anybody who has a glass of anything, or a cup or a mug of something, or a chocolate bar, or a bag of chips, whatever represents your celebration, I want you to raise your glass and appreciate each other, forgive each other for things that might have been said or typed in frustration. I appreciate all the good in people, and I understand all the challenges in people, and I'm really looking forward to a transparent, accountable approach to fix the problem in a refreshed and new era. So, cheers. Is it legal for me to drink on Facebook? I think on TV you're not allowed to.
Oh really?
I don't know.
It's a good thing it's grape juice.
So yeah, just to clarify, one question came in. So yeah, is there a list of owners in existence somewhere? Is that what we're trying to create?
There are bits and pieces of owners lists, and this has always been the amusement, right? Is that not? And I remember, I think our friend Joanna, Dave and Joanne, you know, it's like, well, they get their invoice every year, but they don't get their AGM package. How funny is that?
Mm-hmm.
Or people say, I get my AGM package, but I don't get any emails, or I get my emails, but only some emails. Like, there's if you read the AGM report, the 2019 Carriage Hills AGM report that a bunch of owners put together. Don Agnew, thank you for coordinating that. In there you will see statements that the board of directors and the property manager recognize that we have a mailing list that was managed by Equient, who's the company that was sending out our invoices. They had their own little members list. And then there was Shell Vacations, and they had their own mailing list. And then there was the Carriage Hills people in, at Sarah's control, and it's their members list. And then there's the people managing the AGM stuffing of those white envelopes and sending it, and they have a mailing list. And this is why, pat on our backs, that if you read the paragraph, because of course you're all going to go and read the proposed, it's not proposed anymore, you're going to read the order, you're going to see paragraph 5A, anyway, the paragraph that talks about the members list, and it's going to say in there that BDO will prepare a members list, and their efforts will include sourcing mailing lists from the following sources, including but not limited to, and it lists out Equient, Wyndham, Carriage Hills Vacation Owners Association, Carriage Ridge Owners Association. I forgot Shell Vacations, but it says including but not limited to. So first is to go harvest what's already available and merge them all together and produce one bloody list. Like, I don't know why this isn't rocket science, or why this is thought to be rocket science. So yes, all the bits and pieces will come together. Plus you will now have the BDO portal where members' information is going to be put in, and they'll have to reconcile it all together. But again, it's not rocket science. I don't know what they're going to do about the defaulted owners who are hiding. But I believe in the order it talks about the collections company, because they chase people down. They have ways to find people. So go get them and bring them to the table. Like, because then I'm sure those people want to vote for exit.
Yeah.
But are they going to be allowed to exit if they're defaulted? I don't know. Something to consider.
Got it. Next question.
Cheers.
I heard Mr. Mitra
Mm-hmm.
from BDO,
Yes.
say in court,
You need to speak up.
if we do find an exit option,
Yeah.
do we think that was a slip? Dun, dun, dun.
No, because he's BDO. He's spitballing. I have confidence that there will be an exit option developed. The only thing I could imagine, again, spitballing, is if we go bankrupt first and then we don't bother. But there's got to be something that will have to come out of that. So I think he would. I don't think there's a hidden agenda there.
Got it.
My guess. No insider intel.
Your laptop's dying.
Okay, can we get the plug? Now the laptop's dying. You know what? The phone's dying. The laptop's dying. I'm ready to die. Ready to drop dead. I just so need to eat some dinner and go to sleep. And wake up maybe Monday. Here comes Jeffrey. And it's very amusing because my hair's going gray and he's growing a beard. How many of you are seeing in your households an interesting evolution or actually a devolution? We're going back to the caveman days the longer we pursue this hashtag stay at home. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. But it's telling us that, vanity is not the most important thing.
Okay. Scrolling through.
Yeah. How many are online?
105.
Okay, it's dropping off. People are dropping off like flies.
Yeah.
Including me. 2 more minutes. We'll take, are there lots of questions? I hope people are.
Everyone's saying cheers.
Are people? Yeah,
Everyone's
cheers.
thankful.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheersing.
Cheers. Yay. Okay. Yes. Okay. There is a cheers that's called Nostrovia. Nostrovia. I learned this on Norwegian Cruise Lines. Floating Petri just now. No, I'm just kidding. We'll have to erase that out when it gets later. Nostrovia, but otherwise known as nice driveway.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm tired.
So some speculation asking about things, but what happens if some decide to exit as soon as it is offered, and then the rest consider restructuring, but in the end that fails and they sell the property? Do the people who exited at the first opportunity prior to the restructuring consideration get a portion of the sale?
No. That's my opinion. I think as soon as you get rid of your deed, I think the lawyers would jump all over this, but again, I'm not a lawyer, but if you exit, and by exiting you relinquish your deed, first off, there's going to have to be some receiving party where the deeds go. Because it's real property, right? That's the stupid. It's like fractional ownership. We all have these deeds. We all have a sliver of a pie. And if you don't want that sliver of a pie anymore, that sliver has to go somewhere. And this is where, in talking to the Ministry of Government Consumer Services, they acknowledge that we really struggle with the laws around abandoned property, which is why this whole in perpetuity thing is even more complicated. But as soon as you give up your deed in order to exercise the exit option, I do not see how, if 6 months later, a year later, 2 weeks later, you get a check as proceeds because you're not an owner anymore. So, that's my personal opinion.
Can we have them get the 20? Sorry, speak up.
Can
we have them put the collected 21 fees in trust?
That's something I think that I would talk to a lawyer about, and maybe we'll take that up as the next. There's money left over in the GoFundMe campaign. Don't tell the lawyers. But maybe that's something we get the lawyers who did such a great job for us to help us talk about where to put that money. So Lori, Bruce, Mr., Mrs., Ms., my other amigos, let's talk about that because I think that's a really important consideration. So don't know, and I'm not giving you any advice there. Cheers. The answers get a little more volatile the least amount. Love port.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Okay.
First question.
Yep.
Do we think and hope that the maintenance fees for 2021 will be less because of the closure? Because I haven't been able to use it for.
I don't think so.
You don't think so, Joe?
I don't think so, and I think because you can only. I mean, I feel really bad for think about it, all the great people at the association, the housekeepers, the security guards, the people who did the linen, the front desk people. These are real people that with real jobs and real families. And there was a mass layoff. Now I appreciate, and don't shoot me, liberal, conservative, whatever, please don't do that. But there are government funds that have been, or programs that are trying to set up to help people who've lost their jobs due to COVID related layoffs and so on. So I'm hoping that those great people have some solace, there's something carrying them. So they're not harmed. But do I think our expenses have gone down? Sure. I mean, I heard they turned off the heaters in the pool. Like, that's got to be worth something. Laying off those people, we don't have the salaries of those people anymore. So I get it. There's what we'll call skeleton staff. Like, don't think about driving there and breaking in the middle of the night and stealing the can openers, because there is security guards running around. Do I think that there's enough of a cost savings to reduce the maintenance fees? I doubt it, because I think there's going to be so many people our default rate is still so high that there's just going to be the need to pay the bills of people that didn't pay, and that's part of the unfortunate cycle. So I doubt it, but again, I'm spitballing.
Yep. All speculation.
Yeah,
All guessing.
I wouldn't budget that it is. And who knows too? They also have to replenish the reserve funds because they've been burning money like it's nothing to renovate the property. I don't know, Elizabeth, if you're online. Hey, Elizabeth. You know, she's got all the numbers for how much money they spent in the last 2 years or year. You know, doing all these friggin' renovations. Like, I mean, it's good for the people who are staying and, you know, maintaining the property. So. But I don't know. We're running out of money. We're just bleeding cash.
Yep.
Read the pre-filing report. For any of you who are number crunchers, bean counters, have a look at the pre-filing report because it contains. It's a document that's also in the BDO website, and that pre-filing report contains a lot of financial reporting about just how much money they've been spending.
Yep.
Last question.
I think nothing's
That was
really
it.
come in.
What would you like to ask me? What's for dinner?
No.
Not what's for dinner?
No.
Are you glad?
Are you buying another timeshare soon so we can go back on vacation?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Are you glad, despite the frazzleness that you have seen me for the last 2 weeks, many days go by, I don't shower or get out of my pajamas. And I don't leave my kitchen table because I'm like staring at the computer screen with Facebook posts and updated documents from the lawyers and conference calls and all this kind of stuff. Thank God I'm retired. I don't know how people are doing this with a job. Are you glad I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Why?
For personal gain, that I don't have to have the debt. Or I don't have to have the liability of it when you are no longer here.
When I'm dead, you don't want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
And
know,
so why
just
does
the basics.
well, let me ask you, why does your generation
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit back too far. Why does your generation what does your generation think about timeshares? And you're speaking on behalf of all of them.
Let me speak up on behalf of billions of people.
Yeah.
On timeshares?
Yes.
We can't even afford rent or a house, so and we're accustomed to short-term things like Airbnbs, so timeshares wouldn't be in the question, especially for my generation right now. Yeah.
You want to stay nimble?
Yeah. Well, and then if you want to go to the same place over and over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
you got to make sure that place is the best place. So when you're younger, you'd go and vacation to many different places.
Yep.
And then if you end up realizing that Cuba is your favorite place to go,
Yep.
then maybe you invest in a timeshare or a property or something like that then.
Yep.
But not anytime soon.
Well, and there are programs, so let me be clear, because I know there are folks on this Facebook group that have loved their timeshare experience and they've never gone to Carriage Hills or Carriage Ridge because they sign up for the points program, and we are Shell Vacations people. I've used my points to go to a variety of different places. So your statement about why would I keep going to the same place? Just, for education. You don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But don't read me saying to you, so I think getting into timeshare is a great job. But there are different programs. There are some pluses. Sorry?
You're out of frame, by the way.
Okay, sorry. I'm gonna support. I think not all timeshares are created equal. I think that there's some that some people like. They like the resort. The maintenance fees are reasonable. There's a market to resell it. They got an owners association that embraces them and values them as members, treats them with respect, and pampers them to the extent they can. So I certainly don't want the experience with Carriage Hills and Carriage Ridge to necessarily be painted across the entire timeshare industry.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's not fair. However, there are a ton of crappy, horrible, nasty stories out there that if you are going to get into timeshare, oh my God, you really have to do your homework. Really, really have to do your homework. So, But my advice to you, person, no. No. But that's me.
And I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm bitter. Maybe it'll be different when all of this is in the rear view mirror, but I think it's going to take a while. So.
Okay.
All right. So, thank you, everybody. I'm
Enjoy
glad
the
you
long
stuck
weekend.
it out. Enjoy the long weekend. I'm going to refill my glass. I'm going to get into my pajamas. I'm going to pop some popcorn and Netflix and then flake, and I think I'll wake up Sunday morning. So, thank you to everybody. Everybody. My two amigo partners for the three amigos. There's people in the background. I won't name them all because I'm going to leave somebody out. But thank you to everybody who donated, everybody who's commented, everybody who's sent us their little hearts saying thank you. I've seen them.
No, there's
And lots of them. Yeah. Feel the love, because that's what fuels us to keep going. And if you see that we're ever running off course and we're not reflecting your views, please let us know. Please do it respectfully, but please let us know. We don't have all the answers, and if we appear to be shoving our ideas down somebody's throat, I absolutely embrace the idea of constructive criticism. So, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Shut it off. I'm pooped.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Bye. Hit pause. Oh, and we'll do what we can and upload this, piece it together, the A and the B, so people can, if you're really desperate, watch this all over again and share it with your friends. Goodbye.